Hello and welcome to a late edition of Culture Shark. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and today we are celebrating probably the greatest superhero ever created, the
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah. I don't think it's a discussion. Everyone has their favorites, but I mean, Batman was the first superhero to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I don't think you can dispute it at this point.
I mean, I think the big three are Batman, Superman, Spider Man, and I think they're all great for different
Yeah.
reasons, but I feel like there's universal acclaim for Batman over
Yeah.
the other two. So
Yeah. Definitely. And I would probably put Spider-Man number two, and then yeah, Superman number three.
I,
Uh,
Superman is so important to the American culture.
oh, I agree. Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, I agree. I think Spider-Man is the perfect teenage hero.
Hmm.
That gets all that correct. But
Yeah. I think the one thing that Superman is missing is um, a modern Superman movie on the level of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Christopher Nolan's Batman. I think if James Gunn can live up to those two series with his Superman movie, we might be we might be in business here.
yeah. So talking about Batman, we're also going to talk a little bit about Netflix.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
It's kind of a hodgepodge show. We'll be sprinkling in the Batman discussion throughout.
Right, because yesterday was it was yesterday, right? Was
Yep.
Batman Day.
Yep.
I did go to the local comic book store. They had some free Batman comic books. Picked up a
Hmm.
Harley Quinn mask. They were out of the Batman mask. So you take what you could get. I misunderstood. I thought that the Batman Elmer Fudd comic books were going to be free, but those cost money. So I was like, okay, never mind. But uh, but yeah, I did got a Batman Fortnite comic book for the kids, and they had a Long Halloween free issue. I think it's just a preview of the series.
Yeah, come up with Last Halloween,
So,
which I think comes out at the end of the month. Like
oh,
maybe
this is the new one. I didn't even realize that. Okay, maybe I should flip through that. Okay.
the Last Halloween, which I
Oh no, this does say Long Halloween, so I think this is just maybe just a free chapter from the first one or something.
that's a possibility. Yeah, I think Last Halloween comes out. Where's it at? September 18th. Oh, it's already out. Oh man, I need to get that.
Wow. Caleb leaves immediately.
Well,
Bye,
yes.
guys.
Yes. Yesterday. Oh no. Okay. So the long Halloween, Last Halloween, Batman Day Special Edition number 0. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah. So the actual series should come out. I think it's on like the 29th or something, or no, 25th. 25th. So because comic books come out on Wednesday.
So we got a jam packed show, so we're gonna get going here.
Hmm.
So let's do our
Yeah.
weekend checkup.
Yeah.
Caleb, how you been doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Real quick, I'm actually not in a great mood right now for a specific reason. And so, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to give any context to it. I am not going to, no, not trailer of the week. This is rant of the week. I'm going to do a quick rant. I'm going to give no context, no questions after, please. And then I'm going to talk about Agatha. Okay.
Okay.
The city of Detroit sucks, okay? It is the poop stain on the underwear of America. It is a trash city filled with trash people. We need to not put a wall around anywhere else except for Detroit. We need to make that place like Arkham City, and we need to keep everyone from Detroit out. If we have any Detroit viewers, you can unsubscribe, stop watching the video right now because Detroit sucks. And that's all I got.
There was a group of investors that wanted to buy all the abandoned city buildings in Detroit and make it into like a zombie theme park where you would be given paintball guns and hunt zombies through the abandoned buildings. And they turned it down, but I thought that was a great idea. So
that, I mean, honestly, that Detroit's the one place. Yeah, correct. Yes, of course. So now that we've gotten to correct takes, let me get into some hot takes. I don't know if this is a hot take because honestly, I don't know the So I don't know I actually don't know the fan. Eminem drops this. Oh man, I wish that'd be awesome. So I actually don't know what the fan response has been to Agatha all along. But we watched. I think it was a 2 episode. Was it a 2 episode premiere? I think it was. On Wednesday, the family did. And for the most part, we liked it. It's a kind of a follow up to WandaVision, but it's I think it said something about 3 years after WandaVision. Um, but yeah, I mean, we really liked it. I don't know if I'm against the grain on that.
I haven't watched any videos on it. I've just seen the constant headlines. One of the actors said something about this being the gayest Marvel show ever, and that's all I see videos about. So,
You know, you know what the thing is like I think that actors just kind of say that now to get the headline because,
yeah,
I mean that is not anywhere in this show whatsoever. There's like, yeah, that's definitely not here.
okay. I
Yeah.
have not watched it. I probably will not be watching it.
Yeah.
They and maybe it was by the end it'll be the gayest Marvel show ever. I don't know what they said. Like I said, I've been kind of ignoring it because I don't care.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this more than anything, I guess I care about because at this point, the only thing that Marvel gets right is their Mystic side. They're pretty trash at everything else right now, and so, but at least whenever it comes to the Marvel Mystic side, even their worst stuff is passable. Like that, I'm at this point. I'm convinced that they should never have done the multiverse saga. They should have steered away from cosmic. They should have, at this point, phases 3, 4, and 5 probably should have, built up to Mephisto and the Serpent from Fear Itself. I think Fear Itself is what they should have been building to at this point. Now that I see what they're good at. And honestly, the fact that they're good at like Marvel Mystic makes sense because I mean that's what Disney kind of is magic and wizards and witches and all that. So like it makes sense that that's the one thing that they're good at. So yeah, that's where I'm at this point. I could care less about anything that has to do with the movies. I think at this point I'm more excited for them to build the Midnight Suns. So
as for me, we'll talk about Blue Eye Samurai in a little bit. I was watching that on Netflix, and then I started playing Golf Story on Switch.
Golf Story.
It's a quirky golfing RPG.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted it to be whenever you said that.
Humor similar to Earthbound, that sort of thing.
You go around hitting people with golf clubs.
You can hit with golf balls, yeah.
Yes.
So it's one of those things. I was like, oh, okay, this is dumb. I don't want to play this, and then I find myself playing it 4 hours later. I'm still playing it. So I'm I'm slowly getting addicted to this little golfing game. I'm curious where the story is going. I'm starting to visit other golf. I'm at a dinosaur golf park now, so I'm kind of exploring that and helping them find their lost turtle idol. But it's also a golf game. So, also, have you heard about this game called UFO 50 that just came out?
No, I haven't.
It's on Steam so far, so I'm hoping it comes to platforms. It's from the creators of Spelunky.
Okay.
And they've made 50 retro video games that look like they were released in the 80s. So you get 50 different games. They're like full games from the 80s for like $20. And they're actually, the quality's going to differ from game to game, but there's actually some really good games, like full RPGs in there and stuff, and golf games and all kinds of stuff. So, one to keep your eye on if you're looking for something fun with a variety of different things. So.
Yeah. Oh, one thing about Agatha, I just remember. So there is a character, Agatha's sidekick. Is someone who is looking to gain power, and he is gay, but I'm fairly certain that this is Billy Kaplan.
Oh,
So,
it has to be Billy.
yeah. So he is gay, but like, so is the character in the comics. So
Yeah.
you can't knock him for that. What do we got? What do we got here, Jonathan? Just wait until Avengers Doomsday and Sorcerer Mickey Mouse is the true villain of the multiverse, and RDJ Doom turns out to be the hero.
Maybe it's like Donald Duck. If Donald Duck gets a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's like,
I don't know. Why did I even attempt a Donald Duck?
I don't know, but he's trying to reshape, the old Mickey Mouse Clubhouse song where it's Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, where they're fighting, kind of that sort of thing, where he's erasing Mickey Mouse from reality, and they have to save him. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's Secret War. That is the Secret War.
That is the Secret War. What was that in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or Mickey Mouse Playhouse or whatever? That one all like the tool that that did everything.
This is a secret tool that'll help us later or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just it's the 10 rings, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, we set that up, didn't we? Yeah. We kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some actual topics. We got a lot to go over. So we're going to start with, I believe, a Batman question.
Yes. The question is, what is your favorite animated movie / episode? Now, I only put the stuff up for the movies, but we can talk about like some key episodes from other things if we wanted to. But we'll go ahead and start with what you submitted as your favorite as far as the movies.
Sure. The anime movies are tough because there's some really great ones, but I went with Batman Under the Red Hood.
You have to.
It is such a gut punch, and really gets down to why doesn't the Batman kill Joker? Why, ask all those questions you ask are answered in this movie, and it's so good.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean,
I'm getting chills just looking at this picture. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
and I'll be honest. We'll be talking a little bit later about this, but a comic book story that was done better in animated film form.
Sure.
But the funny thing about this though is the director and writer of this was Judd Winnick, and he was also the writer at the time. So this was kind of him going back and like fixing his mistakes. And it's a cool redemption story for Judd Winnick.
And also you have to understand there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when you're writing a comic book. The editors will make you make changes, and your idea for a story, your intentions for a story will get warped. And so if he's a little bit free from all that when we'll do the animated movie, then sure. So
yeah. So like in the movie, Ra's al Ghul makes sense, right? Like that's how you bring back. Do you remember how they bring him back in a?
So these are some mild spoilers. We'll avoid saying the name of who, in case you don't know who the Red Hood is.
Okay, so the Red Hood is someone who had died and come back to life. So in the comic books, it was not Ra's al Ghul that caused this resurrection. Essentially, it was the Superboy punch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he punched reality, and it made all these changes in reality.
Yeah, and
it's such a comic book thing, especially such a DC comic book thing.
And it's such a Didio thing.
Sure.
But essentially what happened, I think, like, the way it comes off in the panel is Superboy Prime punches reality, and then he wakes up in the coffin. Like he's dead in the coffin, and then he just opens his eyes.
Stupid.
Ra's al Ghul makes so much more sense.
And they kind of tested the waters with Hush storyline. Jeff Loeb also brought back this character, but it was Clayface in that version.
Honestly, I think Hush would have been a better story if it was Jason instead of Thomas Elliott.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Which, by the way, another comic book story that was better in the animated movie.
So just put an asterisk by Hush. Well, I want to bring that up when we talk about the Batman later on.
Sure, definitely. I mean, it's definitely relevant.
Yeah,
So for me, I mean, I had to go with Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
it's a great one.
It's one of my favorite. And you know what the thing is what people talk about with this movie is the flashback scene, and the flashback scene is fine. I think this movie would be just as good if they didn't do that flashback scene. Like, it's not like this. Terry is his own person. Batman Beyond is its own franchise at this point. All I'm saying is it doesn't need. It doesn't need. The nostalgia bait of the animated series. This is a movie that stands on its own legs.
Okay.
And so yeah,
I disagree, but this is your favorite movie, so as we
Well,
and I agree too. It's one of my
yeah,
favorites, also.
yeah.
So
I'm not saying but I'm don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the flashback scene is bad. I'm saying that it's kind of like
you're just saying it's strong enough to exist without it. That it'll
right.
The parts are strong enough.
Right. It's kind of like I say this about Spider-Man: No Way Home, is I would have loved Spider-Man: No Way Home, maybe not just the same, but pretty close to the same if it was just the villains and the other Peters didn't show up, because by the time the other Peters show up, I was already on board and invested,
Sure.
It was like it was the first time that Tom Holland convinced me that he could carry the movie. So but yeah, Return of the Joker, that's got to be mine. Batman Beyond's probably my favorite of the cartoons too.
Sure, it's great.
Yeah,
and yeah, these are two greats. Mask of the Phantasm gets thrown around a lot. Also, I think for me, that's kind of my trilogy of great Batman animated films. So,
I would another one that I'd put up there. It's not necessarily a Batman film, but I do love Justice League Dark. I like the idea of like Constantine and Zatanna, Deadman. Like everyone is like familiar with the occult, and Batman is just kind of like there having to deal with all of it.
mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. And then one that I don't think ever gets thrown around is the Batman versus Dracula, which is
it's all right. I mean,
yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember
it holds up. I've watched it recently. It's surprising that they showed that on Cartoon Network. There's so much blood in it, which it's Dracula. So
does someone gets turned to was it Penguin that got turned into a vampire?
No, so Joker gets turned into a vampire, and Penguin is hypnotized by Dracula and becomes one of like those eternal servants. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I mean, like legit, Joker dies in this movie at the very beginning. If it wasn't for Dracula intervening, the Joker is dead in the Batman.
Yeah, but Joker dies all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, he died like his first appearance in the comic books. He died.
Oh man, they love throwing him off of buildings and then coming back.
Oh, certainly. For me, favorite animated episodes. I mean, we didn't really put this on the list. The one that kept popping in my head when I asked myself that question was a Justice League Unlimited episode. It's not even really a Batman episode. For the man who had everything, where they give a gift to a Superman that makes him, it's like an alien plate that attaches to him and makes him live like his perfect world.
Yeah, that was a Mongol.
Yeah, and it gets attached to Batman, and he just keeps beating the Joe Chill over and over.
No, Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne does.
Like he gets to see his dad be the hero.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just remember that.
Yeah.
That one, or Almost Got Him for the original Batman animated series, is always a fun one. Or Heart of Ice. There's so many great episodes.
I was about to be like, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Heart of Ice. Like that's I mean, every time I would be like, "Hey," like we go over, "Hey, can we watch some Batman?" You'd be like, "Yeah," and you throw out Heart of Ice every time.
Every time.
uh,
Gotta keep them young.
for me, I gotta go with so I gotta go with Epilogue. I love Epilogue. Um, I love Joker's Millions from the new Batman Adventures. uh, I've said this many times. Here, let me go ahead and put this one up. I don't think the Joker gets as well written until um, new Batman Adventures because I don't think the Joker should be funny while he's doing horrid things, and I don't think the Joker's that funny in the original animated series.
Mhm.
But I mean, Joker's Millions. I mean, that's a classic. Like, I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
Right.
Love that one. And then I'd have to go with, I'll bring in the Batman because that's actually the one that was on when I was a kid. There's the rubber face of comedy, clay face of tragedy with Ethan Bennett becoming their version of Clayface, and it's kind of their version of Death in the Family. So like
Mhm.
that one too.
Cool. All right, we're gonna shift gears just a little bit. We will get back to Batman, we
Mhm.
promise. So I haven't had Netflix for a couple of years, and I recently gotten Netflix again, and I found this little gem that came out in
Li-
December.
little known. I don't think anyone's heard of it.
Yeah, yeah, Leo. Well, I had not heard of it, or if I
Yeah.
did, I didn't. I ignored it. You know, sometimes you hear about animes or whatever, and you're like,
I'm
okay.
talking about After Sunday. If you haven't heard of it.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah. So it won an Emmy last Sunday, and that is Blue Eye Samurai.
hmm
So I generally have a rule when I watch shows on Netflix. I try to watch only one per day and not binge it. That way the episode stays with me longer.
hmm
Because when I watch them all together, they run together.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I followed that. And then I was getting towards the end, I was watching 2 or 3 episodes a day. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it just, incredible, incredible show.
You
This
know.
is a show about the main character is Mizu. I will probably slip up and say the spoiler from episode one. It's spoiled right at the end of episode one,
hmm
a revelation. Uh, Mizu, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I'm going to slip up. I won't. Mizu is a character. This is during a time in Japan where they are cut off from the rest of the world, but the shogun has allowed 4 white men into the country, and these 4 white men assaulted Mizu's mom. I'll say it that way because of YouTube. And so she doesn't know who her father was. And there's the spoiler. This is a girl who is posing as a boy.
Mulan.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a mix of Shogun, Kill Bill, and Mulan is what this feels like. And Mizu has blue eyes because her parentage was, a white man. And so she is seen as a demon or an outcast by everybody in the town. Everybody hates Mizu, and she is the outcast. And because her life has been so miserable, and because of other stuff that happened, she sets out on a path of revenge against these 4 white men, and that's the basic plot of the show. There's a whole lot more to it, but that is the basic plot. Mizu's quest for revenge.
And so this is all episode one.
A lot of what I described was episode one.
hmm
There are other characters that she wants this to be a solo quest, but other characters start getting tagged along, and it seems like every character has their own motivations. Hers is revenge. One of the characters' motivations, he wants to kill her.
hmm
and But as the show goes on, everybody's motivations slowly start to change as circumstances change. So it's almost like One Piece, where everybody has a dream and it's their dream. And everybody in the show has a dream, but their dreams slowly change. Their goals change as the show goes on.
So the one who wants to kill her, is it one of those things where he'll help her get the satisfaction of revenge, but then he'll kill her like that, or
Yeah, it's like I'm the one who's going to kill you. I
okay,
can't let them kill you.
that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so it is a great show, great cast, written by a husband and wife team. I just had it up. The guy wrote Logan, Michael Green. He wrote Logan and Blade Runner 2049, all the movies that Caleb loves, Alien Covenant. I don't know if he likes Alien Covenant, but he wrote
I
that.
so hate Alien Covenant. I hate it so much, but the other ones I do love.
Yeah. So him and his wife Amber Nozumi wrote this. It has a great cast. George Takei is in all these. Masi Oka, who plays Hero and Hero, he's in this. You got the original Shang Tsung in this.
I'm just gonna because at this point he's kind of everywhere. Is Hiroyuki Sanada in it?
I don't think he is.
That's weird because at this point I gotta be careful, but he's kind of like the Japanese actor, right?
Yeah, and it's like they have Kenneth Brandon, whatever his name is, in this.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, so I mean they got big names in this. They got Stephanie from Everything Everywhere All at Once is in this.
Oh yeah,
Ming Na Wen's in it. So I mean they got everybody in this except for our boy. So word of warning, this is a hard R rating. And again, we're on YouTube, so I gotta be careful what I say. There are a lot of scenes involving brothels. So you get a look at everything. I'll put it that way. And it's not just a little bit; it is a lot.
And this is an animation as well.
This is an animation, but it's not just the things you see; it's the stuff that's implied to be happening, and that gets pretty vile. There's just a lot going on there. So if that's a deal breaker for people, I'm just gonna give that warning. It's here, and it is a lot.
So let me ask this, because this did win the Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, and specifically the episode was episode 5. Well, that I'm reading this, did that end just kind of being undisputedly the best episode of the series, or?
I think the show peaks at episode 5 and 6.
Okay,
and then it goes. I won't say downhill.
It steadies.
It's kind of like you're going up a mountain, and that's the peak, and it kind of slopes off a little bit after that. My biggest issue with the final episode is it's you're wanting the main story to get wrapped up, or at least against one of the 4 guys who did this to the mom, and instead they kind of swerve a little bit and start setting up season 2.
So this isn't like a one and done.
No, there's gonna be more seasons. I would guess it's gonna be a 3-season show, because I think by the time the story begins, she's already dealt with one of the 4. So it's kind of like it's a lot like Kill Bill, right at the beginning she takes out one of the ones right away, and then it's going out the other 3. We don't know the details of how she took out the first one, so I'm sure that could be a flashback season or something. But episode 5, the one that won the Emmy, there's kind of like a kabuki play going on at the same time as the events are, and the kabuki play is reflecting her story.
That's cool.
And everything you thought you knew about her is wrong. You get this whole side of her story that you didn't do nothing about, and it kind of reshapes everything. Like she had this moment of happiness. Again, this is very similar to Kill Bill. Now that I think about it, she had this moment of happiness, and it's like her fairy tale of this. Hey, I could have a normal life, gets taken away from her, and I don't want to give away the play reflects things, and in her real life, and it's really cool. And then episode 5 or episode 6 is kind of her raid on the castle. Is a shorter episode, but really remind me of like the Crazy Eights fighting Kill Bill. Just
Oh
amazing
yeah.
fights, amazing music, animation, all that great stuff.
Yo,
So
I am still waiting for the unrated cut. I think it's called Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair,
mhm.
where there's more scenes and the fight with the Crazy 88 is in color.
I think I have 2 complaints about the show.
Okay.
The way that the final episode, there's just a couple of nitpicks with the final episode that I've already mentioned. The other thing is she does get wounded a lot, and you're kind of like, okay, she should be dead.
Okay. Yeah.
but I think that goes into the whole. There's almost like a legend about her that she is this demon that is hunting down. She's unstoppable.
Yeah.
And
like
fueled by revenge, so she can,
Right. And I definitely think that there's an amount of resolve, I guess, because that's kind of like the whole point and stuff like this is just the amount of resolve that, like, let's talk about Kill Bill. You got I can't think of Bill's brother's name, but it's Michael Madsen.
Mhm.
Ends up burying her alive, and so she just does the 1-inch punch over and over again to the coffin just to get out. So there's definitely a resolve.
Yeah. So let me wrap this up real quick. I want to give this a 10 out of 10 so bad. I think I'm like a 9.75 or a 9.9 out of 10. It's almost darn near perfect.
If this is something that had wrapped up and there wasn't a season 2 and it was just a one and done, would this be a 10?
I think so. And season 2 may strengthen what I think about the end of season 1. But I think this is fantastic. A lot of the times I did not know where it was going. The characters would make decisions that were, true to the character, but she's so focused on revenge that she, there's the right thing to do, and she doesn't do it all the time because that's not my mission. My mission is killing these 4 guys, And so there's a lot of that, and a lot of, they call you a samurai, you're not a samurai. And, her learning, what does that mean? So highly, highly recommend Blue Eye Samurai. Again, it's a hard R. So just for those who have issues with that sort of thing. So, all right, we can get back on to Batman. I just wanted to get that out of the way while it's fresh on my mind.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be sure to edit that down as well so that way we can put that up.
Yep.
Yeah, so our next what is our next question?
I think it was another question.
Yeah, I think it's a favorite comic book story. So we're gonna go ahead and start with you. The favorite Batman comic book storyline.
So I haven't read as many Batman stories as you have, but I have.
Yes.
I've read a lot of the big ones. Long Halloween is one of my favorites. I used to own a copy. I don't have a copy anymore. But this is a lot of fun. Is it perfect? No. That we've talked before about behind the scenes. There was a lot of last minute changes to who the big bad was going to be. I remember when this was coming out, Wizard Magazine was still a thing, and they were like every month having polls about who is the holiday killer. And so I think the Wizard Magazine probably affected the ending because they were probably figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
And
which that's the one thing I've never understood about media is like I think one should be happy that their audience is figuring out because it means they're paying attention.
Yes. And clues make sense that, I think just if someone figures it out, oh, well, you did your best. And
like your audience should be rewarded, You know?
Right. And so there's a flaw at the end of this where a killer is revealed and it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
I think it's a cool reveal, but also I think there's no clues leading up to it.
No, no, it's like a whoa, but it also kind of breaks down as you think about it.
Yes. So I think the art by Tim Sale is great.
Oh,
I think,
absolutely.
and like I said, you get a little bit with every Batman major villain throughout this.
Yeah, that's one thing, and we can compare it to Hush as well. That's the one thing that like Jeff Loeb really does. I'm not gonna say like he does it well. It's just something that he does. Is anytime he has one of these 12-issue maxi series, I mean, he is going to make it like the definitive Batman story of that generation because
Sure.
everything is going to be in this.
So the other one I put on my list, Dark Knight Returns, and I read this when I was a teenager. So you're like, oh, cool, Batman,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of that, oh wow, this is post-apocalyptic Batman, cool, or whatever. So I just remember this book blowing my mind when I first read it. You get this final fight with Joker and Batman versus Superman, and old Bruce is so cool, and just
People don't talk about it as much. I love the fight with the mutant leader. I love that.
sure. I love that. Batman's getting older, but he's also starting to train the next generation. And it's like the next generation doesn't have a father figure, and he's becoming that father figure, and he's teaching them how to be respectful citizens. Yes, they're vigilantes, but he's teaching them, don't curse, sit up, do this, do that. He's becoming like a father figure to him. It's really cool.
And for those of you who are a fan of Carrie with her slingshot in Cape Crusader, this is where that comes from.
Sure, yeah.
I thought in Cape Crusader, like you could do stuff like that with like the orphanage that just pumps out robins. But the fact that they brought in the slingshot, I thought was really cool.
Sure, and I just remember the Batman v Superman fight is so cool. Yeah. The Batman Joker confrontation, where it's like, okay, Batman, you have to kill the Joker now, and he still doesn't do it. I think it speaks a lot to the character. There is a lot of, this came out in the 80s, so there's a lot of 80s references in it.
Reagan. He's the president.
So, but yeah, I think this is great. And, Frank Miller has said, if Batman was Batman in the 40s, then the 80s, he should be, 70s or 60s or whatever, older. So, at the time this came out, it was, accurate for him to be that old if he had been alive all this time. So,
yeah.
I think this is great. The follow-ups are not so great.
They get worse as they come out.
Yeah.
and the funny thing is they are still coming out.
Sure. Frank Miller, I've noticed this a lot with a lot of creators, not just in comic books, but in movies, TV shows, musicians, whatever. They tend to do their best work in their early 20s, 30s, and then the quality dips. Or, I think people just grow up, their views change. And as their views change, their creativity changes, and it reflects that. And there are some people that stay great creators, even older, like Walt Simonson, or, it's not quite the same, but it's still there. You can still see the greatness that you saw when they were younger. So,
yeah. So for myself, I have to go with The War of Jokes and Riddles. This is a Tom King story. This was actually during the first 50 issues, whenever people still liked Tom King. So back in the day, whenever we didn't know anything about The Dark Knight Rises, we didn't even know a name. We didn't know anything about it. Everyone thought that the villain was going to be the Riddler. And, you know, the uh, the uh, the question at the time was, well, why would they do the Riddler? They did the Joker. What's the difference between the Riddler and the Joker? And then Tom King thought about that and he said, well, there's a story to be told there. Because what is the difference between a joke and a riddle? And the difference is the unpredictability of a joke. You know, a riddle is set in stone. You know, there's an obvious answer. For a joke, you never know what you're going to get. You know, see the Aristocrats from what was Gilbert Gottfried? Mm-hmm. And so this is essentially the context of this is Batman has asked Catwoman to marry him, and she said, and she's going to say yes, but he says, before you say anything, I have to tell you about this. And so he tells the story of the War of Jokes and Riddles. This is his second encounter ever with both the Joker and with the Riddler. And in this universe, this is a 0-year Riddler. And so that, like, this is essentially War of Jokes and Riddles is the sequel to 0 Year. And I love 0 Year. And so there's this point where, you know, Joker is just, he's not laughing anymore. He doesn't find anything funny. And so the Riddler is trying to figure him out. And eventually, it turns out that it was the Riddler that caused the origin story of Kite Man by killing his son. And out of anger, Batman grabs a machete and he is going to go and like he's finally just going to kill the Riddler because, you know, he's done. And keep in mind, he's still early on in this. And right as he goes to stab the Riddler, the Joker puts his hand in the way. And so he stabs the Joker in the hand and the Joker stops him from killing the Riddler. And the Joker starts laughing for the first time in the story arc because he finds it really funny that he's the one who stopped Batman from killing somebody. And so that's whenever Batman makes that vow, I'm never going to kill anybody. But then the Joker sees that he was brought to that point before. I bet you I could bring him to that again. And so that's why the Joker is always trying to get Batman to kill him, because he knows that he's been there before. And so it never before have I seen a storyline that came out 80 years after a comic book character is created, and it just kind of changes the whole dynamic of the characters. And so I have to give it to that. And interesting. And the thing is like, even if, you know, you don't like the Tom King's run, this is actually a story that Tom King wrote to be like, in DC Black Label, like this was going to be its own thing, but then they're like, you know what, just put it in your run. So he originally wrote this to be read by itself. So even if you don't want to read Tom King's run, this is something to be read by itself, especially if you like 0 Year and you're looking for a follow-up. So yeah, this is probably, I have a lot of favorites, but if we're talking about like something that is modern and legendary, it's got to be this one.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if my library has this. My library has a lot of Batman books. My library is weird. It has like no X-Men books, but it has so much DC stuff. I don't know. So I know it has a lot of the Scott Snyder Batman stuff there. So,
which I gotta get you to read some Snyder at some point, because I don't know how you'll feel about Tom King. I think you'll at least like some Snyder. Like
sure.
I mean, I got you to read 0 Year. How'd you feel about that?
Was that the one with the Riddler?
Yes.
So I've already, I'm getting old, Caleb.
Mhm.
I've already forgotten most of the story, but I remember
Okay.
liking it. So,
Okay. Well, a funny thing, once we get to the Batman, if we're looking at like the comic book that the Batman took the most from, even if they didn't realize it, it was actually Zero Year more than anything.
yeah, we will definitely talk about that here
Yeah.
in seconds. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna switch gears again real quick. Uh, Netflix had a bunch of announcements over the weekend.
hmm
So go ahead and talk about the first one here.
So Arcane season 2, um, the big question was, okay, so are we going to get it in 3 episode chunks like we did initially? And the answer is yes. So Arcane, the first 3 episodes will premiere on Saturday, November the 2nd. The next 3 episodes will come out on the 9th. And then finally, the last 3 episodes will come out on the 16th. So by November 16th, Arcane, the series, will be completed. So that's fun. And it'll be fun for me because I watched Arcane like a year and a half after it came out. So it'll be cool to kind of experience Arcane as it's coming out for once.
Sure. Yeah.
And then one more thing that I forgot to bring up is the Devil May Cry trailer came out. This is by the people who did the Power Slash Rain. It's by Adi Shankar. He's done a lot of stuff on YouTube, but he also had a hand in the Castlevania shows. And so if this is anywhere near the quality of Castlevania, I am super psyched for this. In fact, I've always said that because Castlevania hasn't been relevant since like 2005, Devil May Cry is this generation's Castlevania. So definitely excited about that. And then you got some news about One Piece.
Sure. One Piece season 2 is in production right now. The big question that was, what is Tony Chopper going to look like? The little reindeer guy. We did see a little bit of him from behind the CGI on that. So we still don't know who's voicing Tony Chopper, but we did get news about some of the bad guys coming up, Mr. Zero and Miss All Sunday. I never know how to pronounce Joe's name.
Manganello.
So I am sure Joe is a intimidating, great actor. I just haven't seen him in many things. I have seen him in Spider-Man as Flash Thompson, and I've seen him in Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Big Holiday, where he's trying to dress up like Pee-wee Herman and throw a party for him. So it's hard for me to see him as intimidating, but I'm sure he is. I'm sure he will do great.
Well, so I don't know if you're aware of this. Joe Manganiello is actually a really big nerd. Like he's kind of
Yes.
he's America's Henry Cavill. He's really good friends with the Critical Role people. He's written some D&D books and he's written some D&D modules and he's tried to get a Dragonlance movie off the ground. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he's a fan of One Piece already.
I'm sure he is. If you haven't seen Pee-wee's Big Holiday, I mean, he is literally wearing the Pee-wee Herman outfit with Pee-wee Herman, and they're dancing and stuff. So yes, I can tell he's a big nerd.
I've never seen it, so I have to see if I can find a picture of it.
He's like throwing a party for Pee-wee Herman.
Oh,
and Pee-wee Herman's like going across the country trying to get to it. He has all these missing pictures.
Okay, so Joe Manganiello is like the catalyst of the whole movie, then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. All right, let's see. I found it.
It's not as great as Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but it's a close second.
So, I guess did this come out relatively recently then?
I say 5 years. It's probably been longer than that.
Okay.
Because Paul passed away. Was last year, or year before?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, I got to say this has been the last decade that has been out. So, yeah. So really excited that Mr. Zero is a big character, and then Miss All Sunday is a very important character. So you'll be seeing a lot of going forward.
So are they, he's Mr. and she's Miss. Are they like related characters? Are they together or
So the bad guys are called Baroque Works. And you remember the first episode of One Piece where the guy attacked Zoro right at the very beginning? His name was like Mister Six or
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah.
So he's part of this gang where all the guys have number names, Mister 1 through 10. So like the lower the number, the stronger they are.
Okay, so
And then
he's the big bad then.
yes, and
Okay.
then the females all have holiday names. So like there's a Valentine's Day, there's Golden Week. She's Miss All Sunday. So
So I'm gonna go ahead and just ask the question on air. I'm not embarrassed. What's all Sunday? I've never heard of that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's
Oh,
just
okay.
a clever, he'll take English words that sound cool together and just throw them together, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. So yeah, I don't know if that's
Looking it up.
it's not a
No.
holiday. It just means all the Sundays, so to said.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yeah, sometimes things get a little lost in translation when it might make more sense in Japanese than it does in
Mhm.
English. That happens a lot. So
I think my favorite thing about when it comes to stuff like that is so you know how Guilty Gear is a very popular fighting game series, and Daisuke Ishiwatari writes all the music and he sings all the music. He's even said this in interviews. He's like, I actually don't know how to speak English. I just take words that I think sound cool in English and put them in a song.
yeah. Miss All Sunday, she's like she helps Mr. T like run the organization. She's like, his right hand woman or whatever. And she's like, deadly assassin. And you remember the 4 Kids dub of One Piece that's notorious for how bad it was?
Yeah.
So they just saw the picture of her like this. She's a Texan. And gave her like this real thick cowboy accent and just totally ruined the character.
That's really funny. So it's not like Kano where they arbitrarily made him Australian and it turned out to be the best thing ever.
Right. They, the 4 Kids One Piece, they wouldn't read anything about the characters. Go, well, that looks like a Texan, or that looks like a French guy. Here we go. Who cares what the plot actually is,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But yeah, really excited about One Piece season 2. They have not said the release date. I assume it's going to be next fall. So, really, really cool. And there's some fun stories coming up in season 2. They have said what story arcs they are adapting. So
like they said they're only getting 5 seasons and they're not doing the whole thing. Have they said where they're going to end it?
So have they said only 5 seasons?
I thought that's what they said.
They've said that, but they've also said we could go 9, 10 seasons. So I don't know. There is a good ending. Well, I say it's a good ending spot. It's the end of how Naruto splits in from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah.
There is a breaking point that does happen at one point.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do that and then do a new show to cover the second half, you could do that.
But let's say they stop there and then they don't get picked up again for a second show. Is that a good stopping point if they don't get picked up for that second show?
It's kind of an Empire Strikes Back type moment where you're like, what's going to happen next?
Okay. So let's say they only get 5 seasons and they know this. Is there a place where they could stop and it be satisfying?
I was talking with my youngest son, who's a big One Piece fan, about this. So season 3 is definitely the Alabasta storyline, but it could also be Skypiea. Like they could cram those into one season if they wanted to. They really deserve their own seasons, but if they had to, they could cram those. Then you get into Water 7, and then you could do the stopping point Marineford in season 5. If you truncated everything down, you could pull that off.
Okay.
So, yeah, the biggest problem with the story is the comic book's still going on, so they don't know exactly how much more they need to finish it. I think that I've been saying for a while. I think One Piece has got about 5 years left.
He said that 5 years ago.
but I mean it. We're in. They were talking about getting to Elbaf and like one of the very early storylines, and we're at Elbaf now, and like everybody's actively moving towards the One Piece at this moment. So
Mhm.
I think that things are going to wrap up. Not saying it'll end this year. I think about 5 years is um, I could see it ending in 5 years. So all right, let's talk more Batman.
Yeah. Yep. So we got our favorite live action Batman films, and then we're going to get into the most recent live action Batman film. Uh,
Well, Batman.
so yours, um,
I gotta
do you,
say,
I have a question. Do you like Batman?
this is my childhood, man.
I
This is what I
know.
grew up watching.
I know.
I think that listen, you boil it down to Batman. It's core pieces, and this show was so important. The movie is it's so funny.
Mhm.
It is. It's hilarious. You get major villains, but you've also you get Batman, Robin, you get the Commissioner Gordon relationship. They're solving the case. You know, so a lot of the modern movies have struggled to get these little pieces right, and they had it right in the '60s. Yes, I know it's campy. Yes, I know it's
Mhm.
very silly, but I think they got a lot of stuff right. So, uh, if I had to pick a modern movie, I don't know, maybe Batman Begins or maybe Batman '89, maybe.
Yeah. I just saw 89 yesterday, by the way. Like, of course, I've seen it many times before, but it was in the theater for Batman Day, so that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had a friend who had never seen it before. And first of all, he kept being like, "Yo, did he just kill that guy?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, yes." And Returns, it's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to accept that this is not a Batman movie. It's just a really good movie that happens to have a guy just as bad in it. But the thing is, I'm like, and I'm quoting it the whole. It's like Star Wars for me. Like I go see Star Wars in the movie theater. It's a quote along, and so this was a quote along for me too.
But I'm trying to think of what Batman movies are like better than this, and I can't think of one.
Mm,
And that's you know, and that just goes to show that I don't know if any of the modern Batman movies have gotten it right. I think the Batman got pretty close. We'll talk about it.
mm. So for myself, I got to go with the Dark Knight. This is if there is a movie that I have seen the most times, it's probably this. I've seen. Oh man, I don't know if this is like an embarrassing. I've seen this probably over like 200 times. I don't know how embarrassing that is.
I think I've seen it twice,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
twice. I know I saw it once.
But yeah, I mean, and the thing is whenever it comes to Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, uh, very very much they're kind of Batman, but more so than anything else, Christopher Nolan is a big James Bond fan, and he's always wanted to do a James Bond movie. And you'll see, if you watch Inception or Tenet or any of his other movies, you'll see the Bond isms in there. I mean, this one more so than any of like his series more so than anything else. Because you got Lucius Fox, who's his Q, and then you got the love interest and the iconic villains, and so for me it's got to be the Dark Knight. I love Heath Ledger's Joker. I think that this is the ultimate, like I said, the Joker has to be funny, and I think the Joker's hilarious in this movie. The pencil trick is great. um, the part where in real life the explosives malfunctioned briefly for the
Hospital.
hospital. And so I mean, like, he stays in character and he's like, what's going on? And he just starts banging on the detonator, then it explodes. Like that's brilliance that you I guess you could script it, but they didn't script it, and that's how good Heath Ledger was. And I I love I love his in between Christian Bale's in between person. To me, you know how people say that like Batman is the real person and Bruce Wayne is the mask. I wholeheartedly disagree with that because I think that I think at the beginning Batman is a real person and Bruce Wayne is a mask. But I think as the character of Batman in whatever universe he's in, as he matures, I think there becomes a third person in the middle, and that's who he is to Alfred, that's who he is to Lucius, and that's who he is to Rachel. And so his third person, I think he does it really well. You got people like Michael Keaton where there's really only two people, and even then Michael Keaton it's just one person because he's kind of a weird guy as Bruce Wayne anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, everyone always talks about Heath Ledger, but I mean, where did Aaron Eckhart go? He is so good in this movie. He's good in everything that I've seen him in, and I haven't seen him in anything recently. But
He
I
got
mean,
addicted to nicotine and Thank You for Smoking, and
oh.
that was really good. If you see that movie, that's a funny joke. But yeah.
Oh, I love Thank You for Smoking. But yeah, I mean, like he's great in this, and like it's insane because I think one of the things that a lot of I'm not going to say that Batman stories get wrong, but like there are you in Long Halloween he's a workaholic and he just kind of leaves Gilda all alone and kind of abandons her every night. Then you've got animated series where he has a mental illness before anything else, and Cape Crusader where he's just kind of an a-hole. In this, he is genuinely just a good guy, you know. And I love him for that, and Aaron Eckhart does a great job. So, yeah, Dark Knight Returns. It's my favorite. It may or may not ever be usurped because there's definitely some nostalgia there as well. We were actually living up in New Jersey whenever this came out, so yeah.
Sure. Yeah, Dark Knight. It's a good movie. I just have not revisited it in a long time, and maybe if I did, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was great. But
yep. By the way, I do want to say one thing. I love this movie too. I like it's fun. And getting all the villains together. I mean, I assume at the time the fact that all four villains together at once, like that was probably the biggest deal possible.
So it's very much a product of its time, and the writing though is so crisp. The jokes are so good. The way they figure out the Riddler's riddles that make no sense. It's just
a sparrow with a machine gun.
Yeah, or the C. They're at C. C for Catwoman, of course.
C for Catwoman. Have you seen the College Humor video? Batman is an alcoholic.
Probably, I don't know. Well, I'll check it out later.
Yeah. They're trying to catch the Riddler. He keeps giving them riddles, and Batman is just like, "Oh, we need to head to O'Malley's pub." Like he keeps getting the riddles wrong because he's an alcoholic, and he keeps going to the pub. and then
more alcohol.
and then Robin's they're like, oh, another riddle. Yeah, I can do this. And then Robin's like, I think you've had enough riddles for one night. I know when I've had enough. It's great. But yeah, so I mean, if I'm being completely honest, there's not a Batman movie that I hate. Like Batman and Robin, people seem to like really hate that movie. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, if you go into it the right frame of mind that he's trying to homage the '60s
Oh yeah,
series.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Uh,
And then like I said, with Batman and Batman Returns, they are Tim Burton movies, not Batman movies. Think of them like
sure,
Beetlejuice.
yeah,
And then Batman Forever. I mean, like that's just kind of close to the comics, anyways. Besides the fact that Commissioner Gordon's inept.
yeah. Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Jim
So
Carrey is Jim Carrey, and I love Jim Carrey. I'm excited
sure,
for Sonic.
sure.
But yeah, so let's get to some people, and you know what? I can, and we have not talked about it. The last thing that you messaged me about this film was, does this movie ever end? So I don't know how you actually felt about this, but there's a lot of people, and I can see it. I understand it. This is their favorite Batman movie now, which is The Batman. This is something that I saw in the theaters. There's actually a text screenshot that I have on Instagram where whenever we were going to go see it, my mom my mom texts me and says it's 3 hours long, and I said, silence, you will sit down, watch it, and like it.
So when this came out, I had written off the Zack Snyder DC verse. So this is not really a Zack Snyder movie, but I just
No.
written off all DC movies for the most part. And I'd also heard bad things about the movie, so I avoided it. And the Riddler looks goofy, or it's not the Riddler to me when I see the picture of him there.
Yeah.
So I did sit down and watch it. I did split this into 2 viewings, which I think helped.
Yeah.
I after the chase happened with the Penguin, they were interrogating him. I stopped there, and then came back a few hours later. So it was like about the hour and a half mark, and then finished
Oh,
the movie.
so whenever he's like, it's la. You guys don't know Spanish?
Yeah,
Like,
that part. Yeah.
which, by the way, little known fact, that's Colin Farrell under all that makeup.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh man, it's insane.
So, I wasn't feeling it at the start of the movie. Like that first crime scene investigation scene where Batman's just kind of walking around. This is gonna sound horrible, but I'll just say it. It felt like of Mice and Men. Like Commissioner Gordon was Lenny and Batman was Bruce. Like, this is my special friend. I'm showing him a crime scene. Just the way Batman's just kind of plodding around, and
Yeah.
it felt weird. And I mean, his character gets better as it goes on, but I don't know. Anytime Batman was interacting with the cops, it was kind of weird, those scenes. I just felt like, hey, are you supposed to be here? Okay. There was a lot of that in this movie.
And now, I actually can't. So I know when it takes place, but I don't know if they ever mentioned. So do you know, like, when, like, so this is year 2 for Batman? I don't know if they make that clear.
Yeah. Because the case file, there's something that says like the case files is the second year or something. His journals or something says it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But as the movie went on, I got used to this Batman, and I quite enjoyed the movie. Earlier they were playing like some emo music at being. I was like, oh no.
That's a band called Nirvana.
Okay, yeah, emo, Nirvana, whatever.
You make it sound like it's My Chemical Romance.
Look, I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of stuff when I was growing up, and I'm discovering these new bands like Metallica and stuff lately.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning.
It's like, yeah, they had like this weird band that like they did some opera stuff. Like, you mean Queen? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Queen or Beatles. They sound alike. Yeah.
But here's the thing. I wasn't lying. The Mask is on 90% of the movie.
Yeah, it's on quite a bit. I did like Commissioner Gordon and Batman's relationship, but I felt like this Batman doesn't really stick to the shadows. This was more of a brawler. Like, he just gets there and just fights everybody constantly. And but overall, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It is super long, And there were
Yes.
some points at the end where like, why isn't this over? It just kept
So
going and going and going.
I, because like I said there's like one major issue that I
Mhm,
have with it, and
mhm.
that kind of is like the hold on, give me a second. The like the final like bomb reveal and everything onwards. Like it's one of those things where I'd like to know what happened behind the scenes about it, because I am not convinced that that was originally there. You know?
I don't know. And story wise, who are these terrorists that suddenly show up? I know it's this chat room, but are they the other orphans or who? You know, where do these people come from? It
Oh, so for that, I really think it's just random people. Like,
just randos. Okay.
yeah.
Um. So my other issue with the movie is, yes, Batman's cool and it's all dark and dreary, but there's no joy in this movie anywhere. there
Mhm.
is there is no joy. Part of what makes Batman fun is yes, Batman's this dark character. His hero looks all dark and brooding, but then his villains are so colorful, and there are no colorful villains in this movie. Anyway, there's no contrast. Everything's just dark and bleak.
Mhm.
So I mean that would be my complaints. The Riddler at first I was just like, oh, he's just a Saul serial killer, but then he grew on me as it went on.
Mhm.
And I thought that the use of the riddles was very effective. You
Oh
know, like
yes.
I think a lot of, I mean, even like Batman animated series stuff, they struggle with the Riddler. They don't know what to do with the riddles, and I thought that this was done quite well.
Yeah, like he knows everything about the conspiracy, and so he's like, you know, I think the one in the trailer, which I think is like the one that sticks out the most, is if you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye? The answer is how much did they bribe you? You know,
Hmm.
and so stuff like that. Definitely, definitely really cool the way they um, utilize the riddles. Now, I am curious because you know, we are getting a sequel, and honestly, I was kind of surprised that we didn't get any information on it yesterday. I kind of expected to get at least a little bit of something.
Hmm.
Um, I have a feeling that we're gonna be getting a little bit more of his Bruce Wayne. Uh,
When this came out, I heard there was two demands from WB after it came out. Of course, these were different owners at the time of Warner Brothers. I don't know what the
yeah,
current ownership is saying. They
sure.
said the movie was too long and it wasn't for kids. And I think they
Uh,
wanted them to change those two things. Now I don't know if that's still the case because that this has been in production hell for a long time and now it's finally starting to move again. And this movie does set up the Joker at the end, but is that where they're going to sequel? I've heard rumors. I think you said Mr. Freeze or someone said
uh,
Mr. Freeze.
So they initially whenever Matt Reeves whenever the movie came out, he said that he'd like to do Mr. Freeze um, next. Like if he could pick whoever he wanted, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he would do Mr. Freeze. I have heard a lot, and especially I haven't watched the Penguin yet. I still have to get Max, um, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of setup to the Court of Owls as well.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, is the Penguin series, do you know, is this set up with this new destroyed Gotham at the end? Is that what is or is it Penguin's Rise to Power? Or is it
Uh,
both?
so from what I can, so I actually am not sure because
Okay.
you know, the trailers didn't, you know, tell like it. The trailers did what I wanted them to. They're like, "Hey, we've actually filmed this," but they didn't tell you a whole lot about it, which is what I wanted. Um, but as far as I can tell, you know, it's got like Sophia Falcone in it. So I think it is about the Penguin's rise to power.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go into more Destroy Gotham things because they change the Penguin's name, his real name. He's not Cobblepot in this universe. His name is Oz Cobb, which in any other instance would be an odd choice. However, there is the Talon in Court of Owls, which is the Talon is kind of like the Court of Owls hitman. His real name is William Cobb. So if they
Oh.
Yeah, so if they go with Court of Owls, I mean, like if they're the Court of Owls, and then you got a penguin, which is a bird, I think more and more, I think they're setting up Court of Owls.
The other thing, I'm sure you noticed this, that they set up in this movie was Hush.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
During the Riddler broadcast about Martha, it shows Dr. Elliot, and then it literally says "Hush" across the screen. So, if you're a comic fan, you know what that means.
Well, so it actually wasn't Dr. Elliot. It was so the reporter who was going to
it's the reporter that got knocked off by the Falcons.
Right, exactly. So I can't remember. I think his name is Edward Elliot.
Yeah.
So the reporter that was going to kind of report on Martha being an Arkham, which, by the way, Martha Wayne being an Arkham and Batman having a stake in Arkham Estate, that comes from Jeff Johns's Batman Earth One. There is 0 Year, there is Earth One, and there's some Hush in this. Those are the big main three.
There's a lot of good world building in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, we eventually figure out that this is not what Thomas wanted, and he was going to turn himself and everyone else in before they ended up getting killed. Let's say from Thomas Elliot's perspective, if we're setting up a future film with Hush, Thomas Wayne had his dad killed.
Oh yeah.
So I could definitely see them setting up Hush as well with that.
Although the comic books, Hush had his dad killed, so that's kind of weird.
Right.
Maybe he's the one that Falcone hired to kill the father.
That'd be so funny. Also, I love. I gotta find his name. But usually he's in all the. John Turturro. He's in all the Adam Sandler movies. Sure. But oh man, he was great in this.
He is a great Carmine Falcone. That's not who I would have cast, but now I'm like, he's kind of great. The Catwoman thing, that's from the comics, right? About her being his daughter.
That was Long Halloween. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I knew I'd heard that somewhere before.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. That is Long Halloween. In fact, I thought it was really cool that they even went with the cat scratch that Carmine has.
Yes.
No, I mean, like I said, I still like The Dark Knight as a movie better, and Batman Begins as a movie better. This is the one that I would say is probably the best representation of a Batman comic book on screen.
Yep. Like I said, it's just missing a little bit of joy. If they give Riddler just a little bit more colorful costume, and because he's got the quirks and stuff, the character does at the end and stuff. And I'll tell you what this movie is. This Matt Reeves, and there was another writer, I can't remember who wrote this. They set out to remake the Batman 60s movie for a modern audience. It's the same 4 villains. Joker is just kind of mentioned at the end, but it is the exact same 4 villains from the 60s Batman movie. What do you think about that?
When you're right, you're right. No, yeah. When you're right, you're right. By the way, so that's Barry Keoghan, who plays the Joker. Mm-hmm. He was, mind control-y guy from Eternals. and he's also dating Sabrina Carpenter. I think that's what he's most known for now, is just that he's dating Sabrina Carpenter. um, but I like his voice, and that I mean, to me that's a lot of the Joker, because um, I think Brent Spiner, he was the Joker in
Young Justice.
Young Justice, and he was horrid. His voice was really bad. So I mean, he's got the voice down. It seems like he's kind of disfigured.
Yeah, I didn't like the way he looked at the deleted scene. So I
Yeah.
hope they don't go that route. Again, I want something colorful for this world, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
'Cause everything else is drab and dark and whatever. And then
Mhm.
you know, one of the cool things about Batman, it's almost like the opposite. The hero should be the colorful one, the bad guy should be the dark one. So it's
Mhm.
flipped, you know.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess if you bring it down to brass tacks, you go back and you look at Batman Year One. Not a very colorful book in general, I guess. So like if we're talking about that, then sure, it is a little different whenever it's a movie. I do think that this movie can be funny though. Like Thumb Drive, I think is hilarious. And then I think Jeffrey. So Jeffrey Wright. Have you seen him in anything else? He plays Gordon.
I feel like I have, but I don't.
So I think his big thing that he first came out with was he was Felix Leiter in the Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Maybe I haven't. I'm not recognizing any movies I've seen.
He played BT in the Hunger Games movies.
Okay, then yeah, I've seen him in that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Asteroid City, so maybe I have seen him in something. I don't remember who he was in Asteroid City, but I have seen that.
But you know, I think he, you know what, it's like the way he plays Gordon is it's like it was written for Jason Bateman. You know, just like oh, this guy's hilarious.
Oh, the other thing that I was gonna say that ties into the Batman '60s movie is they almost have like an Aunt Harriet type character. I don't remember what her name was in this movie, but there's someone else living at the mansion that doesn't know about Batman.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm trying to remember where if they ever got this from somewhere, but the contact lens is so cool. I don't know if that's from somewhere.
Yeah, so I'm gonna admit I was wrong about this movie. I avoided this movie like the plague, and I really enjoyed it. So I do think if you're going to watch this, you should do it in 2 sittings at least, because especially towards the end, it gets really long. So there's so many scenes where like, oh, they could have cut this, they could have cut that, but I think this is if you like Batman, this is a good movie. I know that some people probably avoided it because of Robert, being from Twilight, and them saying, "Oh, I don't like anything he's in," which is a shame because he's a good actor.
Oh yeah, I think he's he's great in because he's in Tenet as well with Chris Nolan. What was that one? Oh, well, he was in Lighthouse. And then there's one where I can't. He's got like bleach blonde hair, and the famous line is, "What do you think? You're better than me?" He's like, "I am better than you." Like, I can't remember what the movie is, but like I can see his bleach blonde hair now. So yeah, I mean, like if you actually take a look at his filmography, Twilight is actually the outlier.
Yeah, and of course, Mickey 16, I think is what's called, is coming out.
Oh yeah, Mickey 17.
Yeah, he's doing like a totally different character there. So, yeah, he's a versatile actor, and
oh, he is also a huge nerd. He will. In one interview for this movie, they were talking. I don't remember what it was, but like just brought up Final Fantasy VII, and he just started talking about Final Fantasy VII for the rest of the interview.
Yeah.
So,
Fun. Well, that is the Batman. We're curious to see where the sequel is going to go. You know, the upcoming DC James Gunn verse is a big question mark of exactly how it's going to work. Like, is this going to be part of the Superman universe, or is this going to be its own separate thing?
I believe that James, I don't think we've got a straight answer, but from what I've heard, James Gunn asked Matt Reeves if he wanted this to be the Batman of his universe, and he said no. So this might be its own like Vertigo thing.
Okay, or it's like the Joker, it's its own universe.
Yeah.
So
Question. So, I know I said that we should review this because A, Penguin's coming out. B, it's Batman Day, and you said, do I have to watch the Penguin? I was like, no, we did something. Okay, good, because I'm not going to watch that. Are you more interested in watching it now that you've seen this movie and found out that you actually kind of enjoy it?
Yes and no. I mean, Penguin's probably my least favorite part of the movie. So I will definitely be reading the Wikipedia summaries of what happens or watching some YouTube videos about it.
I guess I'm, because if I'm being completely honest, my favorite Penguin is, and I don't think this is a hot take. The fact that I like this show completely and unironically is a hot take, but I don't think this thing I'm about to say is a hot take. But I think my favorite live action Penguin is actually Gotham. I think people, whether they like Gotham or not, he's great. Robin, what's his face? And so, I talk a lot about, Colin Farrell and how it's funny that, he's, it's hard to tell that he's Penguin. And I think he does a great job, but I still like Robin something, what's his face in Gotham better.
And for me, clearly the best Penguin is Burgess Meredith. I mean, I think most of America will agree with me on that one.
And
those that are old enough to remember the Batman '60s show, which is getting fewer and fewer.
Robin Lord Taylor is his name. I think that Robin Lord Taylor was probably looking more than anyone else. I think he was looking at Burgess Meredith whenever they were doing Gotham.
I'm sure.
I mean, honestly, and I've said this numerous times. Gotham is somehow is a mixture and a love letter to Tim Burton's Batman and Adam West Batman at the same time. So that's my recommendation for Gotham. So
yeah. So, and I will say that I do like Robin Lord Taylor. He is a good Penguin, and he was great in Walking Dead when he was briefly on there. So
he was on there, wasn't he?
Yeah. So so check out the Batman if you haven't seen it. If you were like me and avoiding it because you thought all these DC movies suck, that's a good one. This is a I would definitely recommend it. Would have worked better as like an HBO Max miniseries or something, maybe. But I think this is a lot of fun. The guy playing the Riddler is great.
Paul Dano, Paul Dano is great.
And I even like Zoe Kravitz. I usually don't like Zoe Kravitz, but pretty good in this, so.
Oh yeah. And I want to go ahead and say, because I know some people kind of get, I know a lot of people gave the film crap just because of Jeffrey Wright as.
That did not bug me at all.
Right. It does, and as it shouldn't. But for anyone who it does bother, if you go back and read Frank Miller's Year One, arbitrarily, and I don't know why, but if you go back and read it, Selina Kyle is mixed in that book. So this is comic accurate.
Oh yeah. So so I'd recommend the Batman. What is next on our docket, Caleb?
We're finishing up Bone. It is Bone Harvest.
And we are also going to be reading Rose. If you can get were you able to get your hands on a copy?
Yes.
Okay. I went ahead and read Rose this week. I don't think it'll spoil anything. If anything, this is like after seeing Empire Strikes Back, now going back and watching the prequels and they get to the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
So
the machete order, I think, is what some people call that. I don't know why they call it that, but I've heard it called that.
yes, so we'll be finishing up Bone. We're having a blast reading through these. We highly recommend you check those
Yeah,
out.
I'm very much enjoying it, especially because I'm kind of like in my you know, I've been kind of, you know, bouncing this around in my head, and you know, I think writing a book, the hardest part is actually starting it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I will start it, but I've kind of been in the like bouncing around ideas for like my own children's and YA novel, and so you know I've been in the mood for something like Bone for probably the past couple months, anyways.
So I'm in the same camp. For 20 years, I've had an idea in my head. I just gotta start writing, and I just haven't. So it happens. I completely understand. So we hope you'll join us next week. We're gonna finish Bone up. It is we're in for quite the ride, and I'm pretty excited for that. But until then, I've been Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and we'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond.
See ya.